My name is Carson. Welcome to Thrifty Garage, a channel where we do everyday repairs, how-tos, and reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a review on a Gooseneck Hitch. So here in the back of my original work truck, we've got a Curt Gooseneck Hitch, and we just picked up a brand new, well, new to us, 2002 Chevy 2500 HD work truck, and we put a B&W hitch in that one. So we'll do some B-roll, show you the 2002 truck, show you our new B&W hitch for that truck, and we're going to talk about some differences between these two. So for starters, obviously we've used this one a lot more. It's seen a lot more wear and tear, and it has definitely held up to use. Both of these I DIY owner installed, and pretty happy overall with the install experience. One of the biggest visual differences between the B&W and the Curt is the Curt is a circular style. So this ball that is removable, it is circular, whereas the B&W, it is square in shape. And let's go ahead and pull that out and just show you what we're looking at here. Okay, we're kind of greasy and slimy. It has been a while since I've removed this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Why? Okay. There we go. You should remove these every now and again because that will make it easier to remove. Okay, so there we have the ball removed out of the Curt. We've got our turnover ball, so we can drop it in this other way. And like I said, this one's really dirty right now just because it hasn't been pulled out in a while. Another big difference between the Curt and the B&W is that this is a double pin, whereas the B&W is a single pin. But other than that, install is pretty much the same. The function's pretty much the same. The hole in the bed's pretty much the same. You've got your tie-down hooks that are pretty much the same. So pretty much the same overall. And one of the main reasons I went with the Curt to begin with was the price. I use eTrailer.com for a lot of our equipment and trailer purchases, and I want to say this was like even in the $200 range, high 200s, low 300s. I could be wrong, but I want to say usually these retail about $500–600, and this one was at least $100 or $200 off of that retail price. So that was one of the main reasons going with Curt. I also have had really good experience with Curt hitch, adapters and balls and drop hitches and all that stuff. I've got several videos with both B&W and Curt on the channel, so I'm not really loyal to one or the other. Both have great products, and in this situation it was really kind of an apples to apples price game. So I looked up Curt and B&W, and both I think were about in the $550 range, and ended up going with the B&W on this one. And let's talk about now why I went with the B&W. So this Curt, because it's round, in order to get these pins to line up, you have to have it facing a particular direction. So this has to go in this way. It's you know, even though it's circular, you can't just choose what direction you go in. You know, the B&W, you only have two options to drop it in, and the pin goes through both options. Well, technically you have four, but it goes in regardless. This is supposed to have a pin that slides right here, and this no longer has a pin that slides right there. And to be honest, I don't know what's preventing this from just falling straight through all the way to the bottom. And I don't want to blame Curt 100% on that breakage, because there have been a couple of times that this ball has been hooked up, and this is a fair warning to anybody who has a Gooseneck Hitch. Always make sure your pin is dropped through this, because a couple of situations that was not when loading equipment or dumping a dump trailer, this ball has come out of this location while the safety chains were engaged. Safety chains caught it, but the pin pulled out, and then it ends up dropping back in place, or it goes back in crooked, and that's what happened here. The pin went, this ball, when it was going back in, it forced itself in there and hit that ball location. There's just a tiny little pin that just, again, engages right in the slot here, and that pin broke off. It's no longer in there. And honestly, that was probably my #1 reason for going with the B&W hitch this go around. My number 2 reason for that would be this right here. As you can see, we've got a spring on here, and that spring is what helps with the spring-loaded action. So there's 2 springs on here that help retract that back into the bed. And that's great and all, and honestly, I just thought that's what everyone had on the market. I was watching an e-trailer video review where they've got 3 different hitches, and looking at the B&W actually has like a cone shape. It's like a spiral cone, and where it touches the bottom of the bed, it's actually about 1.5 to 2 inches in size. And I knew with that I wasn't going to have the same problem occurring, and I've been a little bit disappointed in that. Other than that, toe capacity I think is all identically the same. Ease of install is pretty much the same. Like I said, it is a pretty technical job. I'll have to look it up and see how long it took me to install this B&W. This Curt hitch, I did do a video install on the install on that. I want to say it probably took about the same amount of time. They are essentially the same truck. Let's go look underneath. Underneath here we have our frame brackets, and we basically just have a big bolt that hooks on right here. We've got a big U-bolt that hooks on up top and hooks on the bottom, and then we've got 2 braces that go across the top here, and both are the same in that regard. Both instructions I believe tell you to remove the spare tire. Both instructions tell you to loosen the exhaust to drop it down, and the reason you do that is it's just really hard to get an angle grinder up in here, and you have to cut the heat shield out of underneath the bed, and that's really difficult. And as I'm looking in here, I'm noticing one difference between the Curt and the B&W. This Curt hitch has 1 big plate. The B&W splits this up into 2 different phases, and there's a little bit more flexibility and give in the center section. We've got 3 slots where these 3 bolts hook together, and so there's 3 slots in that bracket. There's also a frame bolt here that, this is a fixed point. Your U-bolt here can be moved, I guess, a little bit more in the B&W. But it's essentially the same type of kit, components, install. Like I said, I will throw up the time for install on the B&W hitch because I have that record data right now. I just barely did the install. It's a little bit outdated. It's been about 2 years since I put this Curt hitch on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it in here. So another thing with Curt, as I'm sorting through the toolbox here, is Curt has a really nice rubber cover that goes on here. Really, really nice. I really like that. But it's easy to lose. And so that's I guess one disadvantage you could say. B&W does not have a cover, and so it's going to get dirt and debris and stuff in here as well. I think that's just a problem with these turnover balls in general. You're going to have this dirt getting caked in here and causing problems, getting stuck in here, regardless of the B&W or the Curt. I haven't had the B&W in use to see if it's any better than this. Like I said, because I lost that pin, I'm just leaving this in the gooseneck position. The whole point of this was so I could turn it over and put a pallet in here, and eventually I probably need to find a pin and find a way to repair that slot. You can actually see it right there. Right at the bottom where the light shines in there is where that little pin is supposed to be. Yeah, it's really dirty in there. Let's go ahead and see if we can put this back into place. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Don't go too far now. So, as far as the lever on these, both are the same. So this Curt does have a little bit extra details here showing your specifications. It's showing you how to use the handle. I don't think the B&W has the numbers on there, but it does show you how to use the handle on this side. And then obviously we just pull the handle over and engage that pin. Got it. With the Curt hitch, we did have to cut this out. I did not have to do that on the B&W. The B&W just sat low enough underneath here that it wasn't a conflict, but we did have to cut on the other side in order to get those brackets in there. So you can see here on the passenger side of the 2007 Duramax, we didn't have to cut a V-notch there. So both trucks we had to cut a small little notch here. One thing I don't like about this notch we had to cut in here is these are just kind of some sharp edges. Not super sharp, but you're getting your hand in here and bumping up in there. It's kind of a problem you might face with either truck if you end up having to cut out that pinch weld right there. So I hope that's a pretty good summary for those out there that haven't used either one of these hitches. These are both firsthand real world experiences, mostly with the install process. We're still working out the details on actual use day in and day out. Like I said, have had a lot of use with this. I have pushed this to the limits, beyond the limits, and essentially broken it. It still functions 100%. All our safety chains hook up great. The gooseneck ball hooks up great. It has double pin engagement. But as far as the turnover capabilities, that is basically no longer working on the Curt. We've yet to see if we have any problems with the B&W. I know around here I see a lot of trucks with B&W, and I think part of that too is the B&W colors, the gray, and the B&W logo is on everything, and it's much larger. Curt doesn't have as much of a pronounced color, and even you could say on your frame brackets, the Curt kind of just blends into your truck. It's not as noticeable. It's the same color as the frame. It's black, whereas the B&W is more standout and gray. While we're talking about the color, I guess we could talk about the powder coating process. The B&W powder coat, the gray powder coat, felt a little bit nicer, but it was a difference between a textured coat and it's kind of a smooth, glossy coat. So the B&W has more of a smooth and glossy coat in their powder coating process, and the Curt is more of a textured process. It doesn't have as much sheen and shine to it, so it's just a smoother look. You know, we're getting out in the weeds here as far as, you know, actual functionality. But if color is important to you, maybe that's your decision factor. There's some opinions on that. Big thanks to B&W on this video. They did send out this B&W hitch for review on the channel for installation, and so really thankful to them for sending the products out to do the video. As you can tell, I'm not brand loyal. I've purchased a variety of products from both manufacturers, and in this situation I did want to try B&W because I did want to compare them between the two, and B&W didn't know I was going to be doing this comparison video either. They just knew I was going to be doing a video with their hitch, and with all our videos we always try really hard to make sure we're being honest and truthful with our reviews. I think this will give us a good opportunity to, in a year or two from now, review the B&W, compare it long-term to the Curt, and see if we have any issues. I can't really say today which one's better. All I can say is what the differences are because I haven't had that real-world experience. I can say the Curt has not quite lived up to expectations as far as losing that pin, but again, I take some ownership of the damage there. If that pin was engaged always like it's supposed to be, would have never been a problem. This system would continue to work flawlessly, with a side note of these safety chain springs that have popped up. But again, that doesn't affect the day-to-day usability. I feel like I'm just rambling, so we'll go ahead and end the video there. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if it was useful information, yada, 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 give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We've got other trailer hitch and ball and all sorts of reviews. We do skid steer, mini X's, truck equipment. I own and operate a landscape business, so we do a variety of projects, as well as we're in the middle of a home remodel, and that's our biggest Thrifty Garage project yet, is our second home, live-in home renovation. So we've got a lot going on the channel. Subscribe, comment, stick around. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.